It's a pretty intense topic. I appreciate everything that Rifki just shared. I want to reinforce that, first of all, specifically about, we talked about the woman as the energy in the center of the home. And I think it's critical that we ask ourselves, like, how are we doing before we can help anyone else? And we're not benefiting anyone, as Rifki said, by obsessively following the news. There's a certain human tendency, I think, to feel like if I'm going to cry more and if I'm going to know more tragic news and follow it and obsess over it, that somehow I'm being empathetic and helpful. And that's not really the case, because yes, like we shouldn't be ignoring what's going on. We should be aware, and we'll talk about doing something constructive to be helpful. But just pulling ourselves down is, I think it's no secret that these days, anxiety has gone through the roof, mental health challenges across the board in all ages, especially I'm seeing, youth, but anyone. And we're not helping anyone pulling ourselves into that space. And we find that Tyra, actually, there's an interesting minhag that a woman who's expecting is not told bad news. That is a Yiddish minhag. And I think just thinking about that, and it's not obviously only for expecting women, it's understanding how Torah recognizes that when you're responsible for children, you first and foremost have to be responsible to keep yourself in a healthy, emotionally healthy space. And sometimes not obsessively following everything is the best thing you can do, so that you can be the one anchor of calm and support in your family's lives. So I wanted to reinforce that, first of all. But second of all, to Rifki's point about doing something active to help, I think this is really the core of the Rebbe's message, that you can sit there and be frightened, or you can say, what am I going to do about it? How am I going to help? You think of the Lag BaOmer parade in 1967, when right before the 6-Day War, when it was terrifying, and the Rebbe spoke to the children. Hashem is, the Yidden in Eretz Yisrael are in a matzav that Hashem is watching them, the Rebbe explains. That's why the Rebbe frames it. They're in a matzav that they are clearly under Hashem's protection, and you have been given the schus to be a part of making that happen. And I think if we see ourselves that way and our children, what are we going to do to help bring about Hashem's brachas and protection for Klal Yisrael and for the world? And within, like all the things Rifki mentioned, there's tzedakah, psukim are so powerful. What a big deal that I've been made about the children saying psukim, gathering our children, saying a parak Tehillim, saying the psukim with them. But also realizing that we have the Rebbe's message that we are at the threshold of Geula. And 30 years ago, the Rebbe told us that we need to take responsibility to make it happen. And the way we can do that is by learning about Mashiach and Geula in a way that really makes it personal and relevant, in a way that we can connect to it, so that we can take it on and make it real. And I personally, I'm grateful that I have the schus, that I landed Bashkacha Pratis with the responsibility to write the Mashiach page in the Neshei newsletter. And it forces me, and I can't, like there are times that I'm not there, and I'm not sure, I'm like, what now? Like, what Mashiach page are we writing now with everything going on? And I'm forced to step back and really examine, like, what does the Rebbe teach us about Mashiach and Geula that can be that I can relate to now, that can really help me get into that space, and what can we do about it? And a few thoughts that I had recently are, if we learn about Mashiach and Geula in a way that that we find relevant, and we understand what it is, that Geula is a world of revelation of Hashem, where we're all going to recognize that it's Hashem's world and we're here to serve him, then the point is that this is a process that happens through human effort, right? We as Yidden are the ones who turn the world into that kind of place where we recognize Hashem's oneness. So what are we doing about it? And either we can look at all the terrible things that are happening, and there's no way to spin it other than it is really not revealed good that we're seeing, but there must be a purpose, and it must be congruous with the Rebbe's message that the Geula is imminent. So how can we take advantage? We can, as Chassidim, we've been trained to don't let a crisis go to waste. Take everything that's going on and say, what can I do in this situation to find the opportunity to bring the message of connection to Hashem and the Geula to the world. So for example, just a few thoughts, like when we see, Bechlal, the chaos and the insecurity going on in the world, and how so many institutions have been falling apart. Financial security, the illusion of financial security anyway, has really collapsed for so many people. What they thought was, businesses for years, it's said, unfortunately, whether it's governments, there are so many things that we were sure could never happen. And just, out of nowhere, you're just like, what kind of world is this? So we are at prime time to take the opportunity to really internalize for ourselves and help share, and we talk about influence, really share the message that we never had security in the first place that was independent of Hashem. We were never in control. We're suddenly feeling out of control. We've never been in control. Hashem has always been in control of the world, and now we can really see it. So we can really help the world come to recognition of Hashem. Similarly, we see, unfortunately, the rising anti-Semitism, and, Hashem should protect all Yidden everywhere, and we shouldn't see it anymore. I think we need to grab the opportunity. For sometimes we get complacent in this gullus that we're in, where we haven't been as used to it. And it's possible for some individuals to feel comfortable blending in, and I don't want to be different, and, politically correct, there's no real difference between people, and on, and whatever, and kind of hide their Yiddish identity. Here we have an opportunity to really bring out and reinforce and point out how a Yid is a Yid. Everyone knows we're Yidden. We are different no matter what. And either we will embrace it proudly and live as Yidden the way we're supposed to be, or, the guy will point it out to us anyway. So it's really a reminder that Ata B'chartanu, and we should embrace that Yiddish pride, and we can reinforce that in those around us. One more example, we talk about the rising anxiety. It's honestly, it's painful. I see it as a teacher, it's just everywhere, crippling anxiety in our society, in our community. And we always needed to learn Chassidus, and we always needed to, Rifki spoke about Chavis Halavavis, the Rebbe, how many times the Rebbe begged, anyone who reached out with any kind of issue in the category of anxiety, learn Chavis Halavavis, learn Shar B'Tochen, and which has been translated recently in a beautiful translation, which I've been enjoying very much. And sometimes we're like, oh, whatever, I don't have time for it, I'm fine. And no, we're not fine right now. None of us are fine. And maybe we can just grab the opportunity and say, now I know I really need to learn Shar B'Tochen, and I need to learn Chassidus. I need to, like you said, in good hands. I need to connect with Emes, because there's no way otherwise. And we can share that with those around us, whoever's been saying, who needs Chassidus, or who needs Shar B'Tochen, or I'm okay. No, now it's clear we all need it. And we can, as the Baal Shem Tov was told by Mashiach, when is Mashiach going to come? When the well springs of learning about Hashem are spread to everyone, now is our opportunity to get everyone to learn Chassidus and learn about Hashem, because everyone knows they need it. So I think if we change the mindset from oh no, where's the world headed? How horrible are things? To what can we do to jump in right now and chaperein and just charge ahead with bringing the message of Geula to the world, we will find the opportunities within the challenges and really make it happen. I want to finish with one thought that, I saw somewhere, I can't remember where it was, but Hasidim don't follow the news, we make the news. So for every amount of minute that I'm spending following some posts and following whatever's going around, what am I doing to make the news, to create what's actually happening? We should be at the forefront of turning this world around.